Welcome to Hack Your Happiness.
You have to pay attention. That's the key. And most of us pay so much attention to ourselves that we just don't pay attention to what's going on outside of us. And I'm talking about the tiny little changes.
Hack Your Happiness is a podcast designed to bring you the behind the scenes of what brings iconic individuals happiness, plus their life hacks.
I'm Mercedes.
And I'm Anastasia.
Today we are speaking with Traci Brown.
I did not realize until it was pointed out to me that I had been really studying body language and using it since I was 14 years old.
Traci Brown.
Traci Brown.
Traci Brown.
Traci Brown.
Body language expert.
I feel like I'm armed with superpowers.
Author of How to Detect Lies, Fraud, and Identity Theft.
But what are some other lesser known cues that you could share with us?
So let's go to the clenched jaw. It does mean stress, but it means that they're set. So you got to understand.
Is it true? Can we do certain things to help ourselves change our mood? What is the number one thing that teens should do with their body language to feel happier?
You got to understand this. Where the body goes, the mind follows. And where the mind goes,
Top 3 tips for teens to decode the body language of others.
look for changes. It could be something small. It could be
Welcome to Hack Your Happiness. Welcome, Traci.
hey, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. Anastasia and I have been looking forward to today. We are super thrilled to learn about body language, and you are an iconic body language expert. So what led you to take an interest in studying body language?
The actual study of it, I started doing through hypnosis training. I'm a hypnotist, and I got an NLP master practitioner, and I've studied Hawaiian Huna, like with kahunas in Hawaii, and I saw clients for a lot of years, and I got really good at reading them. But honestly, the first 3 pages of the NLP manual are just a little bit about body language, and I didn't really think much of it. I really didn't. And then, one thing leads to another. And I did not realize until it was pointed out to me that I had been really studying body language and using it since I was 14 years old, because I used to be a bike racer, and I got to where I was really good, like Team USA, professional level. I raced against some of your Canadian girls who are very fast, and I would use that I would use body language to predict what was going to happen next. And I started to understand that everybody had their own unique tell. And if I could understand that and know what it meant for each individual, then sometimes I could get a jump on what they were doing. And I mean, as little as a half a pedal stroke can make all the difference between, like, can you keep up or not? Can you win or not? And that's how I was using this. So I've been doing it a lot longer than I initially thought. So that's, I guess, a little bit of the story of how it all came to be. And then I, when you kind of start walking down a path, you don't really know where it's going to lead. But I ended up getting invitations to study alongside law enforcement, and the kind of classes they're just like you'd expect they would be, like in the back of the police. It's like the police briefing room, and everybody has a gun but me, and like they called me the private citizen, so that's kind of how it all unfolded.
That is so cool. I mean, you've experienced so many different things. I mean, I think that is so cool.
How you went from like sports
exactly
to,
and like the biking tell I find is so fascinating, because I never knew how much you were able to predict of how they would pedal or like their tell by just watching their body. I mean, I just think that is so insanely cool.
100%. I think it's so interesting how sometimes, and I think this is definitely a recurring theme as Anastasia and I talk to different people, and it's like, you never know where life's going to take you. Sometimes just following different interests is essential to kind of discovering deeper interests.
100%.
Oh yeah, I never would have guessed. And then when a friend of mine sat me down, I was actually, because I'm a member of the National Speakers Association, and it's always in the middle of the summer, because that's when, like, there's not that many, like our big conference, right? Because there's not that many client conferences around then. And the tour was on, Tour de France, and I was watching it, but like between events that we had to be at, and I was rooming with a friend of mine, and I said, "Look, I'll tell you who's going to win this race," because it was, it was coming down to the end, and she's like, "You're telling me all about body language right now," and she goes, "This is what you do, and you're doing it right now," and I sat. It took, like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, I had no idea that that's what I was doing.
If our episodes help you hack your happiness and find a small bit of happiness in every day, be sure to share this episode with a teen in your life or anyone in your life who could use a small bit of happiness, as well as shop our happiness wellness products to bring a small bit of happiness to your home, linked in the description. That is so cool.
So cool how you can, like, not only use that in telling, how people feel and their cues and, like, how they think about you and how they view you, but also, like, in sports, you can tell whether someone is going to win by just
looking at them.
like, by just, like, seeing, like, their position and their, I don't know, I find that so fascinating.
Exactly.
So throughout your journey, and you've experienced so many amazing things, what has your greatest challenge been, and how did you overcome this?
My greatest challenge. Let me take that a different way. How about the thing I'm most proud of in as far as like what I'm doing is really my business, and how I've gone from really nothing and not having any contacts, and now being able to, and actually not being a very good speaker, and taking that to where now, I get calls for audiences of thousands of people that they want me. They don't want anybody else, because I've put forth the value and you get a reputation following you. And so I'm very, very proud of that. Because there's a lot of competition out there, and I guess it's really a lesson in marketing, and which it happens to be my degree. Like, I went to University of Colorado for marketing, but they don't really tell you really what marketing is all about until you get out, and you have to get people to say yes. And so being able to do that and live my passion and support myself and do really well with it, I'm very, very proud of that.
That is incredible, and I think that I just love hearing stories like
Yeah.
yours where people, pursue their passion, you pursue your passion, and you grow through it. You, like, develop these incredible skills of speaking and build an audience, and it's just so important to know, like, I think as a teen, and for any other teens, is, like, you might not be 100% right away. You might not be the best speaker, you might not be the best designer, the best athlete, whatever it is you're interested about, but, like, if you keep on going, you can become one of the best in your field.
Exactly.
You can become, like, someone who can excel in your field of interest.
And that you can also excel better when you're genuinely passionate about something and you find it really fascinating and interesting, and you're chasing it, not just because you think that, I don't know, it'll do good for, like, a future career or something, but because you genuinely love it.
Yeah, that's the way to fail. Chasing money is the sure way. And I did that. And I know that because I did that. I didn't go straight into this. The path to get here was not straight or easy. It takes a lot of guts. And the key is to be okay, to be true to yourself, take risks, and bet on yourself, because no one else is going to bet on you at all, unless and you've got to bet on you. And to say that is it's easy. It rolls off the lips pretty easy to do that and have the guts to do that when you've got a mortgage to pay, and you need food in the refrigerator. It's a whole different level of risk. But what's the other risk is sitting in a cube somewhere doing what, like, supporting someone else's dream or whatever the board of directors says or the stockholders want, and not living your passion. Like, that's the other choice, right? And so there's a balance, right? There's a balance, but and there's so many days I just wanted to quit, and you just got to keep going. You got to, because you're going to be tested. You're going to, and the test and you're going to learn about yourself, and they're different than if you just get a job and go to a job than if you work for yourself, right? But it's worth it. It's worth it. Like to know that I created what I want, and also to know that I'm not done yet is pretty cool.
Oh, I love that. And what I really love is what you said about betting on yourself. I think that's something that we all need to involve into our lives, is like believe in yourself, bet on yourself, like take the risks, because there's going to be risks in every path that you take.
Exactly.
So take the path that you
don't tell yourself no
about. Exactly. And so you do a lot of work with your own business, as well as I've read with other businesses. So how do business and understanding body language go hand in hand?
Well, here's the thing, is that business is built on relationships. It just is. You cannot be solo and expect to get any money or have anyone hire you. And so what that means is you're always selling. Whether it's actually like in a sales meeting, or if you're selling an idea to someone you want to support you, or partner with you, or those kinds of things. And so to sell, you have to understand, what does the other person want? What is the other person likely thinking? And what if you could understand what they were thinking before they even knew they were thinking it? And that's where things get really fun, because you can deliver what they need in a way that maybe they don't even realize, right, that they need. But you have to pay attention. That's the key. And most of us pay so much attention to ourselves that we just don't pay attention to what's going on outside of us. And I'm talking about the tiny little changes. And it's made worse because of phones, because we're so buried in our phones these days. If you can just put the phone away, and look, I love my phone. It's sitting, seriously, it's right here. However, if you can we have unlimited opportunities to pay attention to people. We really do. Are you going to take it or not? And that's mostly the answer is no. But to the extent that you can understand what someone's screaming at you without saying, and then deliver on that, be flexible enough in your communication to deliver what they need in the way they need to hear it, and in a way that you're really going deeply unconscious with their needs, you have a lot better chance to say yes, and for them to say yes. But beyond that, you're in this relationship that it's not going to be just transactional, right? It's okay, who's my guy for this, right? Who's my girl for that, right? Like my video guy that I work with, and because you all have probably been on my website and you've seen my videos, I spend a lot of money on them, and they're really different from any kind of promo videos that are out there, almost in any industry, but especially in the speaking industry. And because they have a plot, and I suggest anyone listening, go to my website and go to the videos, and you will see them, and they're right there. It's tracibrown.com, TRACI. I just call him up. And I'm like, hey, this is what we need. Let's go do it. And he is always up for the challenge. And that's the kind of person I need on my team, where it's like, you're my partner, you're my guy. I'm not going anywhere else. And I can't actually believe that anyone works with anyone else, because he is so amazing, right? and he over delivers, and he actually cares about my mission, right? And he's like, and he'll push back on me. And he'll be like, this doesn't make sense. This, we need to change this. But it goes both ways, because if I see something from him, I'm like, that's not what we were doing. Like, what happened to this idea? He's like, it didn't work. We didn't have the right shot. But see, I can trust him that he's going to help me complete my mission, because he's made it his mission. Right. So, in reading each other is important. And it's pretty funny, because, and this is just, one example, but when you're filming, like I've had up to a crew of about, I think it was like maybe 11 people working for me, which I'm not used to doing, right, in one day. And everything has to come together, right? The light guy has to show up, makeup, all the camera, the sound, all the actors, the set has to be just right. We had to have every single prop. Like you have to make sure that it's all there, right? And that can be, when I'm the producer, that's a lot of stress. When I'm the producer and the actor, that's another level of stress, right? Because we got to get done because I got to write checks at the end of the day. And we don't have another day to do it. Like, this is it. And so sometimes that'll get to me. and I've had a couple like meltdowns before, right? But we're good. And he knows now the signs of like, wait a minute, Traci's not okay. We need to take 5. And the sign is, this is the sign. Y'all are going to laugh because y'all have beautiful hair. And when you get outside and you're filming, if the wind is blowing this way, like my hair is everywhere. Like it's all like the wind has to blow this way, like back or be still, right? And so he'll look at the wind and he's like, all right, maybe we need to change this shot, or maybe we just need to wait a minute, and he'll or he's like, do you need a snack? Right? Cause he knows me and we'll see the signs. So, which are also, great qualities in a husband, by the way. So anyway, point being is, if you can get your relationship with your customers and with your clients and with your team to be that way, where it's preemptive instead of reactive, that's a very powerful place to be. And the body language, the whole way you communicate, your tone and your words will, like attention to those and what's really going on for someone else pays dividends. Like it saves you time, saves you money, and saves you energy.
That is so interesting.
I love that.
And I appreciate and I really like the point of like when you're working with someone, it's so important to be preemptive and to like kind of anticipate maybe if they're stressed, especially if you've known them for a while, like what do they do when they're stressed so you can help them, or what do they do when they're confused so you can like kind of swoop in and help them out. And I think that's important in business. I think it's important in friendships and relationships like you mentioned there. And so I just think that's an essential skill, is like being able to like you said, not always react, but kind of be aware of our surroundings rather than always being so focused. Because I think a lot of the times we're focused on ourselves, right? Like the spotlight effect.
Totally.
Oh, how do I look? Oh, is my face being weird? Oh, am I giving away the fact that I'm a little bit nervous right now? Yeah. But like focusing on others is so important. Exactly.
And I know that a lot of times we can notice small things, like for example, a clenched jaw means that someone's stressed. Or if they're leaning back, it might mean that they're a bit disinterested in the conversation. But what are some other lesser known cues that you could share with us and our listeners?
Got it. Okay, so let's go to the clenched jaw. It does mean stress, but it means that they're set, right? They're not budging. So you got to understand how that thought gets created, right? It's not about why. If you ask how, you're going to get a lot deeper into human behavior, like really quickly. So if someone leans back all of a sudden, for sure, there's something that they don't like. It doesn't necessarily mean disinterested, right? But it's something doesn't sit right with them. So the key is you got to ask. You say, go and say, it seems like something's going on here. Like something's missing. What's going on for you? And then sit there and be quiet. Like, be quiet and let them talk. Because if you start talking at that point, you've messed up the moment to have them feel heard, right? You've messed up the moment. And in law enforcement, we call it information recovery, right? So you've got to ask a question in such a way that they know you expect an answer, and then be quiet, right? And let them talk. So things like, because really what you're looking for is change, right? So if they go from still to fidgeting, or fidgeting to still, right? These are changes, right? You can even get so good that you can look at their eyes. Are their eyes dilated, or do they shrink down, right? So all these little things. Are they adapting, right? Or pacifying themselves, like with small little repetitive movements, right? They're trying to make themselves feel better. Are they licking their lips? That can be anywhere, depending on like how stiff their tongue is. That can be anywhere from anger to just a little bit of self-grooming. So get this. Okay, so the other night I went out with some friends, and one of the friends is a good friend. The other two are kind of like, people you kind of know, but you've talked to them and maybe you have a little relationship. It's not like great friends. And so this one girl, she just moved in with this guy who just moved to town, and they were online dating, like super risky in my estimation of what you're doing with your life. Okay. And so she, like, if you stick your tongue out, like that, like where it's stiff and you stick your tongue out, like kind of in the middle of when you're talking, that's anger. And she was talking about that it's been a little bumpy. And I was like, oh, it's been more than a little bump. Like, I didn't say this, right? I was like, it's been more than a little bumpy because you jumped the gun on moving in with this fella. And there's some like serious conflict that's going on there. But I knew it from the way she did her tongue. Never seen her do that before, right? So now, is it any of my business? Well, I just told the world. Okay. However, is it any of my real business to talk about things on that level in the middle of dinner with people that I don't know so good? No. Okay. So remember, there's a level of appropriateness. Like, it's okay to know more than what comes out of your mouth. And so anyway, one of these days, I'm sure it'll come up that either something's going on with them and she'll tell me, or she's going to be moving out. Okay. So I'm looking for one of those two things to happen. Right. So, like I said, not necessarily my business, but I'll hear about it at some point. So, those are really good. Now, if you want to talk about stress, you look for how, like, here's a really good one, is how much do they blink? Okay. Cause most of us don't look at how much people blink, but our normal blink rate's about, let's say, 17 to 22 blinks a minute. And it's pretty regular. And we really can't control our blink rate. It's really hard to do. Like, I couldn't, if I asked you to keep your eyes open for 30 seconds, I don't think you could do it. Okay. And I know that because I tried to keep my eyes open for 10 seconds the other day just to try it. It is really hard. Okay. But if you watch people, watch that blink rate, and when it starts to get irregular or they seem to flutter, then you know that there's some kind of stress going on there. Also, you can look at how stiff their hands are, right? So if their hands are kind of nice and curved, kind of like mine are, like, that's pretty good. But if my hands to my side, it's like this, or even in a fist, it's a totally different message. Now, Mercedes, I noticed while I was talking, you were rolling your lips in. Like that, okay? So that says you're holding something back, okay? It's either emotions or like something you want to say. So what do you want to say?
Oh, I'm just really enjoying it. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I
me
think these
too.
are all takeaways that Anastasia and I will be incorporating into our lives. Like, for example, my mom, I can tell whenever she's a little bit frustrated
Yeah.
by how much she's blinking. I noticed she's always like blinking so much. I'm like, Mom, what's
It's
wrong?
like, there's nothing going on. We're like, we can tell that something's up.
Yeah, you can tell her she doesn't have to lie, and right, because that's like the number one lie. How you doing? Fine, doing fine. No, you're not. Right. So here's the thing. With just a little bit of attention to detail, like, this isn't always about like this me versus you thing. It's really about, okay, how can we make someone's day more delightful? Like, that's a good one, right? So the other day, well, it wasn't the other day, it was 10 years ago, but it feels like the other day. My husband was remodeling our kitchen, and all we had was a sink. Like, we didn't have anything else, like no cabinets, no nothing. We had a sink, and we had a 1970s hot plate, plug-in hot plate, and a microwave. That was it, right? And we'd been working on this kitchen because he won't let anybody in this house with a tool, and he wants to do it all himself. It has to be perfect. And he's really good at what he does. Okay, so no complaints there. But it was late. It was like 8 p.m. I was hungry. We didn't have anything to eat in this house that you would want after a full day of construction. And so we go to the store, right? We go to the store. And I don't know how it is in Canada where y'all are. Okay, but here, do y'all have those rotisserie chickens? Do y'all have those?
Oh, yes. Those are always so good.
They're totally good, right? They're like amazing. And so I felt like one of those cartoons. You see those cartoons where the smell waves come out and like and the cartoon character like floats over to like whatever's making that smell. That's how I felt, right? So I go over to the stand with the rotisserie chickens. I'm like, Matt, can we have a rotisserie chicken? Knowing that he does not like rotisserie chickens, right? Because he is a scientist, and he thinks that those rotisserie chickens do not offer enough meat for the amount of chewing that you have to do to get the thing off the bone. Okay, so this is what I'm dealing with with Matt. Okay, and so he says to me, I said, "Can we? Look, I know you don't like these things. Can we just have it tonight? It's just what we need." And he goes, "Yeah." Right? Shaking his head, no. Okay, remember, the body can't lie. Words can lie, the body can't lie. So, in the middle of the grocery store, I said to him, okay, look, I get you just lied to me. I'm not really in the mood for you to lie to me right now. I need to freaking figure out what we're going to eat, and I need you to be happy about it. So why don't you run around this store and find something else that you want to eat, because this chicken still isn't going to work for you. And you know what we found? And I've never seen it before, and I've never seen it since. We found a turkey breast. It was up on top of that stand, and it was in one of those bags. And that's what we had. It was turkey. We had turkey breast because I took the time to be like, okay, look, you're not like being straight here about the rotisserie chicken, right? So it seems like a small deal, right? But I don't need this coming back to me years later, right? And then there was that time you made me eat that chicken, right? So, you can like get ahead of things just by paying attention to, if people are lying to you really, and like how they're feeling about what's going on, right? Because everybody, so some of my peers would say everybody has a mask, everybody has some kind of pain going on, and they totally do. I say, let's not dwell on it. Let's get ahead of it so that it doesn't rear its head, right? And really, that's a powerful position to be, because, so I was talking to someone the other day about speaking at their event, a bank event, and I had talked to him before, and I was kind of calling him back, and he goes, wait a minute, remind me who you are. He goes, you're that mind reader? And I was like, well, if you want to go that far, we could do it, right? But it's true, right? Because what if you knew more than was immediately obvious? What if you understood how people were making their decisions and all the data points that they had? Do you think you could answer their unspoken questions? Like, absolutely. Absolutely, right? And get them to be open and comfortable and receptive and act on whatever message you had. Like, that is power.
Yes, that is incredible. And I think it's very cool how you said we can also use like body language to get ahead.
Exactly.
As well as also just to help others, like, make sure that they're happy with their dinner, or, make sure people are comfortable in a situation, or that we're going to check in on them if maybe they seem to be having kind of a rough day.
Like maybe their body language is like, again, like the change, like you notice that it's different than
and
usual.
I think that's a good point, is like, people have different like little things that they do, and like if you notice them doing something different or not doing something, that might be a tell in of itself. And so I think that's very interesting, and it's just those simple little small things that say so much. And I think it's subconscious, like when you were saying like, oh, Mercedes, do you have something to say? I didn't even realize until you said that, and I was like, wait, I do have something to add. So I think that's very interesting how sometimes we don't even, or the person that you are looking at doesn't even know what they're indicating. We've heard, Anastasia and I, and read that even if we're not feeling super happy, we can do certain things with our body language to boost our mood. Just like how, if you don't even know how you're feeling yet, your body might indicate it. Is there certain ways, like, is it true? Can we do certain things to help ourselves change our mood? And if so, what is the number one thing that teens should do with their body language to feel happier?
Got it. Okay. So, you got to understand this. Where the body goes, the mind follows. And where the mind goes, the body follows. Okay. So what you got to do is understand that you're in a very powerful position to change your mind. Okay. And change how you feel. And now let me tell you how I use this. And you said, what about teens? And guess what? Teens are people too. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Now, however, what does matter is that you got to understand as a teen that you do have power, right? Because I think you're at this point where, the world's kind of dictating like what you do. You got to go to this school, you got to do this, you got to do that. And then like when y'all are growing up, like y'all have social media and like comparisons, and like it's easy to feel bad about yourself. Okay, so you got to cut that out because it's not real, right? It's not real. Okay, so let me tell you what happened to me. So like I said, I'm a member of the National Speakers Association. We have a conference every summer. And a few years back, they brought some of the sharks from the TV show Shark Tank to the conference. And I was selected to be one of 4 people to pitch on stage and maybe get a deal with the sharks. Okay, so not only are there sharks there, right, who are swimming in the water, okay, but I'm on the most prestigious stage any speaker can be asked to speak on in front of 2,000 people, peers, where my reputation matters. I'm on a new script, and all of that started to weigh on me. Okay, and so I was backstage, and literally, y'all, I started to shake. Now I'm used to presenting in front of large groups. Okay, but it was a whole different level. Okay, so I tried some deep breathing. I'm like, deep breathing is going to be great, right? And that didn't work at all. Like, not at all. I'm like, who came up with this? Because I'm still shaking. Like, it's not working. And so then I went, wait a minute, hang on. I'm an expert in this. And here's what I did. And I want y'all to do it too. Okay. I want you to take your fingers just like this. And just, there you go. Yeah. So this is called a power steeple. Just do that. Okay. Kind of notice how you're feeling. Okay. And I did this for about a minute or so. Right. Because remember, where the body goes, the mind follows. And I was like, I have to figure this thing out because I cannot go on stage to the most important keynote of my life at that point, or not even a keynote. I was up there for 15 minutes. It was short. And so I just did this, and within about a minute, I felt all that stress and all that tension. Literally, I felt it drain just right out of my feet, right? I went out there and I nailed it. And because I decided to take charge of my neurology. And keep doing it. You stopped. I know I stopped. Okay, but y'all keep doing it. Okay. And I nailed it. I got a deal with Kevin Harrington, and he was on season 1 of Shark Tank. And I was the only one to get a deal. So my question to you ladies is right now, how you feeling? Do you feel like, tell me, like any different than when you started doing that?
Yeah, I feel like after doing that, I feel more, I would say, like, energized and excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already excited, but I feel even more, like, confident and just good. And I
think it's also kind of, like, calming as well. Like, it...
Exactly. Confident, calm. Now, here's the deal. You can do that anywhere. It looks super elegant, right? You can do it in an elevator. You can do it before a meeting. You can do it when you're on the phone. You can do it before a date. It doesn't matter. It looks great. And so, because you are in control, you totally can change your neurology and build that confidence. Now, here's the thing. It's like a road, right? You got to keep walking down it, right? But you gave yourself a start, right? Because if you do this and you tell yourself how much you suck, guess what? Doesn't work. Okay. So it's a start. It's a start, and you can keep going down that path.
I think that's amazing, having that kind of like start to feeling calmer, like it's the beginning, and then afterwards you can continue to kind of let yourself like have those positive affirmations and 100%. Do that deep breathing with it.
And what I really love is how accessible it is. Like, just like you said, Traci, like you can do it before a big test. You can do it before you go on stage. You can do it when you're going into maybe an interview, or if you're going to go to a new school for the first time.
And it's nothing intricate. It's just holding your hands together. No one's gonna judge you for that. No one's really gonna pay that much attention to it because it's just a random hand gesture.
Well, guess what else? No one's paying attention to you anyway. And if you really start to understand, if you really start to internalize that, like for real, it changes everything. Like it changes everything. People are paying so much attention to themselves, they are not paying attention to you. So ladies, let that go. Let that go right now, because it's not like it's what you think is happening is not happening.
I love that, and I think that's a mindset we all need to adapt and adopt, because like you said, like there's so much going on. Everyone's paying attention to themselves, and I also really admire what you said about how this pose or any pose can really help you feel more in control, because I think
Yeah.
as teenagers and in general, with the craziness of life at any point in time, we can feel so out of control. We can feel like we can't control other people's moods. We can't control current events, but we can control how we feel and how we, what we do in response to those emotions. And so I think that that's something that we all should be working upon. Definitely I'm working upon.
I'm definitely going to start using that in my own life. And 100%. we don't know how other people feel. And it can bring a lot of uncertainty into our lives. And I know that uncertainty can just make us feel really stressed and unhappy. So what are your top 3 tips for teens to decode the body language of others?
Look for changes out of the norm. It could be something small. It could be, like a kind of general way that they are. Understand the context of a situation, because there's no one thing that means anything. Absolutely, right? It's all context driven, right? So yeah, look for changes. Think about the context. Can I just stick with 2 tips? Would that be okay?
Yeah, those are fantastic. And I think that it's really great, because it's true. You can't just be sitting in a room with a group of people and just think, okay, well, if they are clenching their jaw, it means X. Like, it could mean anything else.
Exactly.
Sometimes we don't know what's going on.
Maybe you don't know, but they have a really stressful big tournament after school and they're stressing about that. They're not necessarily mad at you. They're just really stressed about something that's coming up later for them.
Exactly.
Yep.
I also think it's important to not always take things personally, because I think sometimes you can be like, oh, this person seems kind of upset. Are they mad at me? Or like, did I do something wrong? And just realizing that, maybe they may be a bit upset at you, but that's 99% of the time not true, because again, spotlight effect. We think that more things are about us than they really are.
And I think that's why it's important to, if you think someone's upset at you, just ask them that.
Yeah, exactly.
Say, hey, is everything all right? Or, can I help? Or something like that. Like, when appropriate, of course.
Of course.
But, yeah. And so what would you say body language has to do with making and maintaining friendships?
Well, gosh, friendships is a big thing, but generally when you understand this one principle, you're going to make a lot more friends, and you're going to be okay with the people who do not want to be friends with you, right? And that is that people hang out with people who are sort of like them, right? Where they have commonalities. Not everybody is on that wavelength. They're not, and there's people have like certain time in your life, like they kind of like go in and out of your life. If everyone's exiting, that's a problem, okay? But generally, right? So there's this whole concept. It's called isopraxism. It's really just matching and mirroring, and you'll see. And we've been doing it even today, like during this video, where you just kind of naturally do what other people do, right? And so you can get so good at this that people will just be attracted to you, and just come over to say hi to you, right? Because they're just like, there's something about them that's just really great. Like, and you can consciously create connections with people the same way as that you can consciously unconnect from people, right? Just by doing what they do or not doing what they do. Now, some people are not going to get this, right? And there's anywhere from just people that are just weirdos all the way up to like sexual predators, right? They're just not going to get it. Even psychopaths and things along those lines. However, if you just kind of do whatever people around you are doing, right, then they're going to be like, there's something about her that's really nice, right? And they're not going to know why, but it's because you've made yourself like them, right? So they've reached deep down inside and said, you know what, they're just like me. And people love that. They love to sell things to people. They'll buy things from people like them. They'll give discounts to people like them. They want to hang around, right? And so these are the kind of things you gotta why take the chance if there's someone that you just want to know, right? You can just kind of be like them and get good at behaving in other ways than you normally behave, right? Just slightly. And, some people can use that. There's whole books written about how to use that for poor behavior, right? But why not use it for great behavior, right? And to hang around the kind of people that that you want to be around.
100%.
I love that. I think that it's really important to like know that you're not really changing yourself and you're not like completely becoming a different person or when you're around a group of people, but just realizing that maybe if I copy their body language a bit more, they'll feel more drawn to me and it's easier to make friends and to keep those friends because they feel like there's something familiar about you and they feel like you're more relatable and not kind of isolated from them because like you're more together as a whole.
Totally. It's not like you're being a fake person.
Yeah.
You're just like kind of mirroring body language and maybe smiling at them, trying to make it more, make yourself more approachable and welcoming. And I think that that's always important as well, like when you're trying to make new friendships, to come off as friendly in general.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes we don't want to seem like overbearing or like,
For
you know, I don't
sure.
want to seem like I'm too excited to meet someone,
or like you're consciously trying to copy them, like you don't want to seem like you're coming off as like you want to be exactly like them. But that's why I think it's great to go for more like body language cues, because oftentimes it goes more unnoticed, but it's just more of an unconscious.
And I also think it's important, like you said, for business, for sales, like then it's kind of a different realm than friendships, but it's still relationships to people, and that is still applies. And so kind of another question within the same vein, like we can do things with our body and our mind will follow. If we want to come off as confident, say maybe we're going into, as a teenager, you know, a college interview or a job interview,
or you're starting at a new school.
You're starting at a new school and you want to come off as confident, even if you're not feeling 100% confident just yet. What is one thing that we can do with our bodies to feel more confident and to kind of evoke confidence to others?
Well, okay, so the person who, let me get this right. So we talked about the power steeple, okay? That thing is gold, okay? Now, what you got to do is understand that the person who, like, you're kind of getting into a little bit into like authority. The person who is the most still is perceived as the most confident and has the most authority, okay? And authority means people will say yes to you. So you got to get good and not twitching around, okay? And it's not the easiest thing to do. But next time you're around a cop, okay, like a police officer, notice they look different than other people around. It's because they're more still, okay? And so that can really show a lot of confidence in a hurry. So it is not always comfortable, right? To do that, it's really not. So you may need to practice.
I find that so interesting on how just stillness, it's like that quiet confidence, like you're just self-assured, you're not twitching or anything. I know sometimes it's just like that like urge, like you just want to, I don't know, like pick at your finger or something.
Sometimes
or, like shake your leg.
I feel like we all have different like ways that we fidget when we're stressed.
Exactly.
But it's like that act of calming down, to maybe doing the power steeple, you know, and then going
just
into a
sitting
situation
quietly like that, and I think that'll definitely
staying
help.
still, exactly.
For sure. 100%. And many teens and tweens are interested in forensics. Could you share an example of a case where you used body language to solve a problem?
I've had big sales cases, the sales accounts that they've called me in to help them, like with like big things. Like if I told you what it was, you would know. Like there's like billions and billions of dollars, because with these big assets, they don't know who they're going to sell to, right? Because they don't have to sell to the highest bidder. They can sell to anyone they want. So I was able to, because I was talking to this, I believe he was a CFO at the time. I go, look, like here's what's going on. The main boss guy is not on board with this. Like all these other people seem to be on a completely different page than the main boss guy. So my client was able to go out and understand that they were doing information gathering, had no intent to sell to them, and were actually trying to go, there was some jockeying around and going around, and so this company was trying to go around them, and my client was able to go around, they're going around and buy this asset for $9 billion. So and I was like, it's crazy, right? So there's things like that, that I'll do from time to time. When I never know what's going to happen when the phone rings. Like, it's kind of cool. So, it's kind of a variety. Like, I get a variety of cases in.
That's so
Wow.
cool about like the range of phone calls that you
And
get.
I think it's interesting how, like, when you understand without even like speaking to someone, like for example in the business case, right, they don't say anything, but you can just tell that they are not on board. And it turns out that based off their body language, like, you were correct in that sense. And I think that's so interesting how that can understanding of preemptive body language can really tell a lot about someone, especially in the case of business, and kind of knowing what the next steps are and navigating a situation about how someone might be feeling or what they might be intending. And so this is kind of a change of gears, but we've been talking a lot today about body language. And if you take it back to when you were a teenager, when you were, first discovering body language, I guess, what is, and this doesn't have to be about body language if that's not the case, but what is one piece of advice that you wish you could give to your teenage self?
I would do a better job betting on myself. I really would. At that age, I didn't know what that meant. And as a result, I didn't have all the belief in myself that I thought I had when it really got down to brass tacks and understanding what a risk really is. Like, I think I played it safe way too long. So that's what I would probably say.
I think that's fantastic because it's true. Like, it can be so hard to take a risk, especially as a teen. There's so much that you don't know. And so I think this is a great sign to anyone listening, and Anastasia and myself included, is like, if you really, really feel drawn to something, even if people are like, you can't do it, or if it's like a little bit out of your league, or you think that you can't do it, don't be the one to tell yourself no. And like, just go for it and bet on yourself, because at the end of the day, like we said at the beginning of this podcast, is like, there's going to be risks anyways. So do what you love. Exactly.
Follow your true passion.
Exactly.
So do you do something every day to bring yourself a little bit more happiness? And if so, what do you do?
Yeah, I do a couple things. One is I'll get some kind of exercise. Like today I went on a hike, like some kind of aerobic exercise. Like, I don't really, like, I'll get in the gym some, but that's not, I just do that so I'm strong for skiing or strong for riding. It's not like my main thing. And then I have a gratitude journal that I do every night, because you can actually program your mind to think about what to think about all night. And so if you just write down, I don't know, 3 or 5 things that you're thankful for that day, that's what goes in your mind overnight, and that will percolate, right? And so it's been wildly helpful, and I've done that for more than 15 years, I guess. And so I have all these books, like things I'm thinking. And here's the deal: sometimes when I was having a hard time, because I told you this path has not been easy, the only thing I could think of is that I had a roof over my head. Like, really, like, it can be that basic. It doesn't have to be this like wild thing. But every now and then you'll get something that's like amazing, right? Like when I would be on TV, or like, like close a big deal or something along those lines. So understanding, I guess, your blessings and what we really have. Gratitude's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
I love the idea of having, like, over the years, a collection of books that you can look back on and see what you've been grateful for all this time.
And you can be like, this time last year on this exact day, what was I grateful for? And it's just fun to like track that.
And the idea of like programming your mind, I love that.
So
just like shifting the mindset, getting in the habit. I mean, I love that, and I'm all about that. So do you have a specific motivational quote you love and remember? And if so, why?
Yeah, I have 2 of them. And they are from my coach, Wally, my bike coach back in college. Number 1, anything less than 100% is a waste of your time, which is true. And number 2 is excuses are the tools that allow you to deny the truth and destroy opportunity. And both of those could not be any more true.
I love that. I think that definitely, like, the excuses one is really impactful, because it's like, you need to stop making excuses for yourself. If you really want to go do something, instead of saying, oh, well, I'm too tired, like making the time and making sure that if you want something, you're actually going to get it instead of trying to convince yourself that it's okay that you're not.
Yeah, it's a story you tell yourself. And most of us are filled with excuses. Excuses are crap. It's like, just take responsibility. If you didn't get something that you want, like, it's your own fault. Like, nobody dictates anything for you, right? So once you step into 100% responsibility for what happens, the answers can get a little bit ugly, right? But being real with yourself and understanding like your own shortcomings is the only way to actually succeed on the level I think that you're capable of.
Yes.
As well as I think also like then giving 100% of yourself to that. I love that, you know, because like if you're not just putting 100% into it, it's just a waste. Like you might as well find something else.
I think that's something that I'm working on, and I think everyone can work a little bit more on. It's kind of related to what you said there, Traci, is like related to if it's not 100%, it's not worth your time. But I also think it's kind of also related to the fact that like betting on yourself, we need to be giving ourselves 100% of ourselves. We need to be allowing ourselves to take those risks that will push us towards our fullest, bestest potential. And we're never going to get there with excuses. We're never going to get there by, you know, taking always the easiest path, the path better traveled. Like, it's okay to be uncomfortable and unknown. And that's truly the only way to ever hit 100%. And we deserve to give ourselves our best, fullest self.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Wally would always say, and Wally's this big cowboy guy, not the kind of guy you'd expect to be a cycling coach. He was the kind of guy who'd take us out, put us through the hardest workout you could possibly stand, put you in the car, take you home, cook you a hand-cut thick bacon sandwich like it was good for you. That's the kind of guy Wally was. And he said, look, when you go out to this workout, I want you to go so hard that you actually physically cannot take one more pedal stroke. And that, my friends, is a hard place to get to, which made me understand, like to actually go to failure, like legitimate failure. I've been there. It is not fun. It makes you understand that most of the time when you think you're going 100%, you're going about 75 of actually what you're capable of. And when you start to kind of step into that, like everything's different.
Yeah, I heard like the 80% rule where it's like when Navy SEALs start to feel tired or something, then they realize that they're at their 80% mark and there's still that 20% more that you can go to. So they continue to push themselves. Yeah. And I think that that's like, you know, if you start to feel tired, if you start to feel like, oh, you know, I can't do this anymore, to like just keep going. And,
yeah,
you know,
but I also think a part of that is knowing when to take a break. Like,
yeah,
I think a whole part of the 100% is like you go hard, then you go and you have a nice meal. You go and you take a break, you recharge, you sleep, you take time with loved ones.
You can't put 100% every single day,
you can't have 100%,
like 24 hours of the day, but like having those moments when you're powering up and then you're using that 100% and then winding down and being able to take care of yourself.
Yeah, you got to have some balance, right? And, you know, law of attraction is huge. And that's so, you know, it's a lot easier if you can align your mind so that things come towards you, right? That are, I guess, the things that you need on your path. But yeah, that 100%, it's real.
100%, yes.
Definitely.
So, Traci, if our audience wants to keep up and learn more, where would be the best place for them to find you?
Go to my website. It's bodylanguagetrainer.com. You can see all my videos, and there's some free tools on there. You know, you can get onto my YouTube channel from there, where I have more free tools. And you know what? I've been doing a lot of TikToks lately, on just little analysis on little videos that I find, so you can find me there as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
We've learned this has been amazing.
A ton today, and I'm sure our audience has as well. And thank you so much for joining us.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness.
And thank you so much to Traci for joining us. I truly learned so much, and I really love how tangible and tactile all her hacks are. Anastasia, what's your biggest takeaway?
I think definitely the temple pose. I think that I'm definitely going to be using
the power steeple.
Yeah, the power steeple temple. I'm definitely going to be using this during finals and midterm season and whenever I'm just stressed about anything. I think that's so great, but also how you need to like reaffirm it with like positive thoughts, because if the whole time you're just thinking of negative things while you're doing it, it's a start, but it's not gonna get you to the end. What about you, Mercedes?
I love it. Definitely going to be using the power steeple all the time.
For sure.
But for me, one of my other biggest takeaways would have to be just like noticing changes in other people's behaviors. Like, everyone has their own unique tells, like Traci said. So if you are in a situation with someone, maybe you're friends with them, maybe you're in a business meeting, maybe this is a job interview, whatever it is, if you notice a sudden change in someone's body language, it's probably indicating a change. So just noticing those things and then kind of applying the context of the situation to maybe what they're responding to.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, please leave us a 5-star review from wherever you're listening. It really helps us out and we really appreciate it.
Also, be sure to join the Happiness family. It's completely free and we would really love to have you. You can join the family by following Hack Your Happiness on whichever podcast listening platform you're on now. See you next time!